Now, far be it from me to tell the Usher of Souls how to do your job. But, as I understand it, you've had a lot of problems with mortals reacting poorly upon the initial encounter. Might I offer a suggestion? Have you considered not sending the girl with the giant pet spider as your initial contact? It could be given the wrong impression. Today, we're going to talk about Roll for Combat's Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps on today's episode of The Local Disaster Tour Guide. Happy Halloween, travelers and tourists. My name is Mark, and I am the local disaster tour guide. That's right, I am a storyteller that's here to usher you into the great beyond, along with a little help from my Psychopomp friends. Welcome to a journey through the fantastic world of TTRPGs like Pathfinder and Starfinder, and welcome to a discussion of Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps, the latest PDF released in October 2024 by Roll for Combat as part of their Battlezoo Ancestries line. Longtime viewers of this channel know that I consider Mark Seifter and Stephen Glicker to be good friends of the channel, and they make a lot of content that is compatible with both Pathfinder 2nd Edition and D&D 5th Edition, and I absolutely love a lot of the work that they do. Now obviously for this channel, I spend a lot of time talking about the Pathfinder 2e content. One of the things that it seems like they just churn out over and over and over again is new ancestry options for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. They have done a ton of work adding really well balanced and really creative ancestry options to the game. Currently, Roll for Combat has, as part of the Battlezoo Ancestries line, a product line called the Year of Legends. And in the Year of Legends, just to give you a little taste, they've published things such as Battlezoo Ancestries Giants, Battlezoo Ancestries Were-Creatures, and Battlezoo Ancestries Angels. And allow me to say, my wife is actually currently playing an angel using these rules in our current home Pathfinder game, and she is absolutely enjoying the experience. These PDFs are extremely well done, and I can say that from personal gaming experience. As part of the Year of Legends, Roll for Combat has been releasing one ancestry every month, and they released a bonus ancestry at the start of the year, meaning that at the end of the year there will be a total of 13 Pathfinder 2e compatible ancestries that have been released as part of the Year of Legends line. Roll for Combat is also gearing up for next year, where they're going to be releasing a product line called Battlezoo Ancestry's Year of the Titans. Right now you can sign up for the Year of the Titans, and to give you a taste of some of the things coming next year, you can see that they're going to be working on products such as Battlezoo Ancestry Satyrs, Battlezoo Ancestries Trolls, Battlezoo Ancestries Dualahans, and this is the one that I think is probably going to be the most interesting, Battlezoo Ancestries Living Spells. So if you go to the link that I've left in the video description, you can actually sign up and get on board with the upcoming Year of the Titans right now, and you will get some cool ancestry PDFs every month all next year, and I think they will all prove to be some pretty interesting products. As a little bit of extra incentive, if you sign up for Battlezoo Ancestry's Year of the Titans, you will get a free copy of Battlezoo Ancestry Swarmbloods, which is from this year's Year of Legends product line, just for signing up. So if you want to check out one of these PDFs for yourself, that is a good way to do so. Honestly, I considered covering these Swarmbloods for my Halloween videos this year, but at the end of the day, I just thought the Psychopomps were too cool, so that's ultimately what I decided to cover. So, in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps. And again, if you pick up the Year of Legends line, you can get this PDF right now as well. We're going to talk about how you can play a Psychopomp in Pathfinder 2e. We're going to take a look at several of the options for Psychopomps in Pathfinder 2e. And we're going to see what kind of characters this PDF can support. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to show you all of the content in this PDF, but Stephen and Mark have given me permission to share a pretty solid chunk of material from this PDF, so you can get an idea for what sort of characters Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps actually supports. Before we dive into all of that, if you enjoy content like this, please remember to do the stuff that supports the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. You can check out my free Discord and my Patreon. All of those links will be in the video description, along with links to some of the stuff from Roll for Combat if you want to check these products out for yourself. But with all that out of the way, let's get started. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Psychopomps are a type of outsider, a creature from another plane, and their specific task is to serve as the Ushers of Souls in the Great Beyond. In the Golarion campaign setting, the Psychopomps actually serve the goddess Pharasma. However, for Roll for Combat, they have their own setting, and in Roll for Combat's products, the Psychopomps have been reimagined as Agents of Purgatory. Regardless of which specific version that you're using, the purpose of the Psychopomp is to oversee the cycle of life and death and to protect it in order to ensure that it remains in balance and is functioning the way it's supposed to. Psychopomps oversee souls as they pass into the Great Beyond, and Psychopomp agents are often sent to take down those who might interfere with the normal cycle of life and death. So, despite their creepy appearance, Psychopomps can actually be quite staunch foes of things like necromancers and liches and other individuals that might seek to corrupt the cycle of life and death. Regardless of which lore version that you're using for the Psychopomp, whether your campaign is set in Golarion and you're using Paizo's official lore, or whether you take the Agents of Purgatory spin that Roll for Combat offers with this PDF, the Psychopomp represents a very unique and very creepy ancestry that you could add to a Pathfinder 2e game. However, at this moment, you might be asking the question, how on earth do you balance immortal agents from another plane that oversee the cycle of life and death against, like, a normal human fighter? And that's one of the really cool things about this product line. The team at Roll for Combat has found some very interesting and creative ways to help describe how you can power down certain character concepts so that they fit comfortably inside a game and don't necessarily overshadow the other characters that are in the party. In Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps, the way Roll for Combat has structured this ancestry is imagining certain agents of the Psychopomps as being cut off from the standard bureaucracy that they normally serve. Psychopomps are powerful and they have a great deal of influence over the cycle of life and death, but their very nature as outsiders from another plane often gives away their work and their intention, meaning that their presence can be easily detected and sometimes avoided by some of the creatures they might want to take down. As a result, Psychopomps have come up with a brand of free agents, essentially some of their own that have been cut off from the bureaucracy of the Psychopomps and allowed to operate as mortals, walking around the world and striving to protect the cycle of life and death from this side of the mortal coil. While these free agents don't necessarily have the same access to divine powers that they once possessed, the mortal experience gives them access to unique opportunities and abilities that they can use in their efforts to protect the cycle that they hold so dear. If you open up this PDF, you will see that the Psychopomps are presented in much the same way that you would expect a normal Pathfinder 2e ancestry to be written up. You'll see a discussion of the ancestry, you'll see some of the things that Psychopomps might believe and some of the things that other people might believe about Psychopomps, and you'll even get a physical description of how Psychopomps tend to present themselves. Of note for this ancestry The heritage options for the Psychopomp correspond to the 5 major types of Psychopomp that normally appear as creatures in Pathfinder 2e. These are Katrinas, humanoid skeletons with a full head of hair; Morignas, tall and rigid creepy ladies with a pet spider, we'll get into that; Nosois, at least I think that's how you say that, which resemble a small bird wearing a leather mask; Shoki, gray-skinned humanoids with curling ram horns; and Vants, humanoid skeletons with huge black feathered wings. So as you can tell, there is some pretty serious variety in the types of characters that can be portrayed if you choose to play a Psychopomp. Down the right side of this page, we see the basic stats and traits associated with playing a Psychopomp. Up first, we note that this is a rare ancestry, which means that if you choose to play a Psychopomp, you definitely need Game Master permission. They have 10 base hit points and they are medium size. The Nosoi will be a little different, but we'll get into those. A base speed of 25 feet, and for their ability boost, for their first boost, they can choose Constitution or Wisdom, and then they get a free ability boost as well. Though, as with all Pathfinder 2e Ancestries, you also have the alternate rules, where they can just get 2 free ability boosts so they can assign wherever they see fit. That is an option as well. For languages, they begin play with Common and Requiem, and they have additional languages equal to their intelligence modifier, with a list of options provided. For traits, they start the game with the Monitor trait and the Psychopomp trait, and then they have low light vision and an ability called Spirit Touch. A Psychopomp's weapon and unarmed attacks against incorporeal creatures become magical, and if they were already magical, they instead gain the effects of the Ghost Touch property rune. It's a relatively niche ability, but it definitely has its uses, and fits the flavor of Psychopomps rather well. But let's go ahead and talk about the Psychopomp Heritages that you can choose. By the way, I want you to note that there's actually full write-ups on these heritages in this PDF. I'm just skipping to the mechanical portion, but there's a lot of fun stuff you can read if you want to take the time to do so. In any case, here we have the Psychopomp Heritages. Up first is the Katrina. You're Katrina, a silver-tongued Psychopomp capable of calming strong emotions. You gain the trained proficiency in diplomacy. If you would automatically become trained in diplomacy, from your background or class for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. You also gain the No Cause for Alarm feat. The Katrina heritage is very much presented as the diplomatic version of the Psychopomp. Up next you have the Morigna. You are a Morigna, a Psychopomp with a spiritual connection to spiders. While you once had a swarm of spiders at your beck and call, today only a single spider remains. You gain a tiny spider as a familiar. Please no one inform my wife that this is an option, because I guarantee you she will pick this one. Up next you have the Nosoi. This is the bird-like Psychopomp. This one is a little complex in its presentation, but honestly the imagery here is pretty funny, so I still think this could be a lot of fun. You are a Nosoi, a bird-like Psychopomp. While you've lost the ability to truly fly, thanks to your compact lightweight build, you can still flutter for brief spurts. You can wear, hold, wield, and use items, and your wings are as dexterous as human hands. You don't need to spend any additional actions to reach something for your space that a medium creature could reach. For instance, if you wanted to turn a door handle located 4 feet off the ground, you only need to spend a single interact action to do so. You're smaller than other Psychopomps. You're tiny rather than medium. As normal for a tiny creature, your reach is 0 feet rather than 5 feet. Basically, they put a lot of text in here to say, yes, you're playing a bird, but you can do the normal stuff, so you're not horribly penalized for playing a bird. I will say that if you want to play a Nosoi, I think you and your GM should probably review some of the rules for tiny-sized creatures that are mentioned with sprites. But if you want to play a bird in a creepy mask, here's your option. It's amazing. Have fun. Next up, we have the Shoki. You are a Shoki, a Psychopomp capable of capturing fragments of spirits or life energy in a staff or other weapon. You gain the Capture Life/Gasp action. This is going to be a little complex, but we'll take a look at it. Capture Life/Gasp, a single action with the Concentrate, Divine, Manipulate, and Necromancy traits. Frequency, once per day. Requirements, you are wielding a weapon. Effect, you brandish your weapon at the corpse of a creature who died within the last round, or at the site where a haunt or incorporeal undead was destroyed within the last round, drawing their ebbing vital essence and a fragment of their spirit into your weapon. This energy remains with your weapon for 1 hour, or until you magically transfer it to Purgatory as a 2-action activity that has the Concentrate trait. While the energy is within your weapon, the weapon glows, shedding light as a torch. This light has the Divine, Evocation, and Light traits. When you transfer the vital essence and the spirit fragment within your weapon to Purgatory, your weapon flares with light, dealing 1d6 damage to all adjacent creatures with a basic Fortitude save. This deals positive damage to undead creatures and negative damage to living creatures. Creatures that are neither living nor undead, such as constructs, are unharmed by this damage, and at 3rd level and every 2 levels thereafter, this damage increases by 1d6. Okay, so there are a couple of things to talk about here. Effectively, the Capture Life's Last Gasp action gives you a once per day AoE attack that has a little bit of setup associated with it. Honestly, I like the fact that this ability hits both living and undead. There's a lot of little niches and nuances to this rule, so I don't think that this ability is ever going to just be super powerful inside a game, but I definitely think that there are going to be some circumstances where you can get some good usage out of it. So the Shoki is essentially a heritage that's going to give you a once per day AoE attack that you can use by capturing and then releasing some spirit energy from an enemy you've defeated. Another thing I want to go ahead and note really quick, in the description of the Shoki heritage, you can see several elements that clearly come from the legacy version of the Pathfinder 2e rules. So things like the necromancy trait and the evocation trait, those traits aren't technically in the game anymore, and here you see a reference to positive damage and negative damage. That's been replaced by vitality and void in the remaster. You can tell that this ancestry was developed before the remaster went fully live. I will say I hope that in the final book version of Year of Legends that these ancestries are fully updated to the remaster, but even if you're using this version of the PDF, it is not hard at all to translate over the few small pieces of legacy content to remaster rules. It's easy enough to do, so the content in this PDF still remains very usable. The final heritage option is the Vanth. You're a Vanth, a battle-hardened psychopomp who can infuse the weapons they wield with a fragment of their own spiritual essence, temporarily transmuting it into another material. You treat scythes as simple weapons for the purposes of determining your proficiency. You gain the Infused Weapon action. Infused Weapon is a single action activity usable once per day. It has the Divine, Evocation, and Magical traits, and has the requirement that you are wielding a weapon. Effect: you infuse your weapon with a fragment of your own spiritual essence. For 1 minute, the weapon that you're currently wielding becomes magical and temporarily transforms into one of the following special materials: silver or cold iron. At 11th level, add adamantine and peachwood to the list of special materials you can select. So essentially, once per day, as a Vanth, you can switch the material of the weapon that you're wielding to another material if that's more advantageous for whatever creature you're presently in a battle with. I will say, of the Psychopomp Heritages, I feel like the Shoki and the Vanth are probably the most interesting just from a narrative perspective. The Shoki is playing around with this idea of capturing a soul and then releasing it to Purgatory, and the Vanth is playing around with the idea of infusing their own spiritual essence into a weapon. I really like the flavor of the Shoki and the Vanth. These abilities feel very flavorful and unique compared to other ancestries without feeling like they break the game in any fashion. So I really love the Shoki, I really love the Vanth. The Nisoi is probably going to be one of those that is a little frustrating to translate from time to time, but I am glad that they put in the work to make your creepy bird friend in a leather mask a playable option inside the game. And for the sake of making that an option for players, I'm glad it's here. So overall, I do like the Psychopomp Heritages. The Katrina and the Marigna are probably the simplest. The Shoki and the Vanth are the ones I think are the most compelling, but all of these definitely have their place. The next thing that I want to do is I want to dive into the first level Ancestry Feats and take a look at some of the options that are supported by Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps. Our first option is Animal Conversationalist. This is a prerequisite of a Marigna, a Nasoi, or a Shoki. You have an uncanny knack for understanding animals and can even hold conversations with them. You can ask questions of, receive answers from, and use the diplomacy skill with animals. In most cases, wild animals will give you time to make your case. You gain a +1 circumstance to make an impression on animals. So Animal Conversationalist essentially expands the use of diplomacy for certain Psychopomp heritages. Next up, we have basic Psychopomp magic. At your core, you're an otherworldly being, and magic lies within reach. Choose one common divine cantrip or another divine cantrip to which you have access from the divine spell list. You can cast this cantrip as a divine innate spell at will. A cantrip is heightened to a spell level or spell rank in the remaster. A cantrip is heightened to a spell rank equal to half your level rounded up. Next up, we have humanoid shape. This is an option for Katrina, Marigna, and Shoki heritages. This is a single action activity. You alter your form, transforming into a specific small or medium humanoid form that you can use to disguise your Psychopomp nature. This form is roughly the same body shape and apparent age as your true form and has roughly analogous physical traits. In this form, you can't use any unarmed attacks that you gain from your Psychopomp Ancestry or use any other physical features only present in your Psychopomp form. You can revert to your normal appearance by using this action again. So if you're in a situation where you want to hide your Psychopomp heritage, this is a feat that allows you to do so and allows you to do so over and over again. Now, I'm going to be honest, I kind of feel like the weird Psychopomp that I'm walking around as is the effect I want to have, but in a practical long-term campaign, I can definitely see why humanoid shape is an option. My impulse says, why would I take this feat? But practicality does say that yes, this is something that is worth considering. Next up, we get natural strikes. Despite being weakened, your body remains a dangerous weapon. You gain an unarmed attack depending on your heritage. If you're a Katrina or a Vanth, you gain a claw unarmed attack. If you're a Marigna, you gain a web wrappings unarmed attack. If you're a Nasoi, you gain a beak unarmed attack. If you're a Shoki, you gain a horn unarmed attack. If you're some other heritage, you usually gain a claw unarmed attack, but you might gain a different unarmed attack at your GM's discretion, and then you can see the stats for these unarmed attacks listed down below. Next up, we have Practiced Corpse Hunter. You have spent lifetimes combating your hated nemesis, the undead. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to damage with weapons and unarmed attacks against undead creatures, as well as haunts that can be damaged by attacking them. If your attack would deal more than one weapon die of damage, the bonus is equal to the number of weapon damage dice. You also gain the additional lore feat for undead lore. So if you really want to lean into the Psychopomp chasing down their enemies in the undead, this feat goes hard into that idea. There's also a feat that we've seen many versions of throughout Pathfinder 2e, that's going to be the Psychopomp Lore. You may be severed, but you retain the teachings of Purgatory in your memory, even as you've adapted to life in the mortal realm. You gain trained proficiency in Intimidation and Religion, and if you would automatically become trained in one of those skills, you become trained in a skill of your choice instead. You also gain the additional lore feat for Psychopomp Lore. Next up, we have Psychopomp's Resistance. Despite being cut off from Purgatory's protections, your body retains some basic resistances that help you survive the hazards of the material realm. You gain negative resistance equal to half your level. In addition, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus on saves against death effects, diseases, and poisons. This is another example of legacy rules. I believe in the remastered rules, instead of negative resistance, you would have void damage resistance. But again, this should be very easy to translate over. The next option is called Sepulchral Eyes. Prerequisites: low light vision. You've reattuned your vision to see beyond the twilight of Purgatory all the way to the darkness of the grave. You gain dark vision. Let me just say, that is fantastic writing for the you gain dark vision feat. Like, you gain dark vision is something you see on a lot of Ancestries. It's a very predictable feat, but I love the fact that the writers did so good selling what is such a basic concept. My applause to the team at Roll for Combat. And then the final first level Ancestry feat option for the Psychopomp is Slow Landing, which is available to the Marigna, Nasoi, and Vanth heritages. you've regained enough control of your wings to slow your descent. As long as you can act and have enough room, you can spread your wings to slow any fall. You don't take any damage from falling, regardless of how far you fall. So those are all the first level Ancestry feat options that are available to Psychopomps. As you can see, they're all pretty well in line with what you could expect for a first level character, so I feel like the team at Roll for Combat has done a good job of translating Psychopomp themed character options into an Ancestry that's going to be mechanically on par with the other characters. You can drop a Psychopomp character into a Pathfinder 2e game, and these abilities, they're compelling, they're interesting, but none of them stand out to me as being broken or inappropriate for a Pathfinder 2e game. If I had to pick a favorite, I think I just really enjoy Practiced Corpse Hunter. The story behind the Psychopomp Ancestry is that you allowed yourself to be cut off from the bureaucracy of the Psychopomps so that you could come to the mortal world and defend the cycle of life and death from the mortal side of this equation. That's very much the kind of character that this is leaning into, and so I think the feat Practice Corpse Hunter, because it leans into that, I find that to be the most compelling feat that they offered at first level, but I think all of these are practical and certainly have their place inside of a game. So that's where I'm going to wrap this video up. Like I said, I'm not going to be showing any of the higher level Ancestry options for the Psychopomp, though allow me to say there's definitely some fun stuff there. The team at Roll for Combat really did a great job, and I believe the author for this specific PDF was Jessica Catalan. In case I forgot to say that at the start of the video, awesome work. I think you did fantastic with this PDF. But if you're looking for an interesting, unusual, and kind of spooky Ancestry to drop into maybe your Halloween one-shot of Pathfinder 2e, or maybe if you're looking for a character that could join a longer campaign, if you find the Psychopomps compelling, I encourage you to check out Roll for Combat's Battlezoo Ancestry Psychopomps as part of the Year of Legends line. Like I said, at my own gaming table, we've made use of several of these PDFs from Years of Legend. All of them are very high quality, and I think the offering for October was certainly fantastic. But the time has come for me to turn the conversation over to you. What do you think about the Psychopomp Ancestry that Roll for Combat has developed? Are you intrigued by these character options? And is this something that you would like to see at your Pathfinder 2e gaming table? Also, if you'd be interested in me covering some of the other Ancestries that Roll for Combat has published, let me know and I'll reach out to Stephen and Mark, and I might revisit some of the other works in this series. In any case, jump down to the comments section, let me know what you thought of this video, and don't forget to do all that other stuff that helps support the channel. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my free Discord and my Patreon. All of those links will be in the video description below. But, as always, thank you for being here, thank you for being part of the conversation, and happy Halloween.